The first species, created in the sixth dimension, are related to geometry. The tetrahedron is fire, the cube is earth, the icosahedron is air, the dodecahedron is water, and the octahedron is ether. The first four are conditioned by the fifth element, ether. The fifth element contains the structure of the tetrahedron, fire, and the cube, earth, and on its outside are water and air. Every being and species in our entire network of consciousness is created through these four structures, these four elements. Before the Big Bang, the breath of the universe in the sixth dimension created these huge geometric patterns. Then, they collapsed through the energy of love, which is gravity. Gravity collapsed in the sixth dimension and created what we now call the Big Bang and the third dimension. Therefore, these five geometric structures of the sixth dimension created all the patterns you see in the third dimension, such as fractals, the Fibonacci spiral, and so on. The first matrix created was in the sixth dimension, and then, through a hologram, the sixth dimension created the matrix we live in, the third dimension. Our matrix is held by 12 constellations surrounding us. These 12 constellations hold our matrix so that every purpose, mission, and evolutionary design of our material world can be executed smoothly. These 12 groups of stars bring the geometric patterns of the sixth dimension into the third dimension through breathing and anchor them here with gravity. The first species created through these geometric patterns were water, earth, fire, and air, each with a different evolutionary pattern. However, these evolutionary patterns were all designed by the sixth dimension. Therefore, all beings in the fifth, fourth, and third dimensions are conditioned by these forms and shapes. In the sixth dimension, every geometric pattern is designing the evolutionary paths of our existence. Hence, all our evolutionary patterns have been designed at different levels of consciousness and vibration. Our evolutionary paths in the third dimension have already been established by the sixth dimension. The only way you can change your reality is through your own vibration. In the sixth dimension, you can see that you have created billions of opportunities to mix these five geometric shapes and create different evolutionary forms to adapt to each planet. However, among them, only the geometry of ether, the octahedron, will determine the vibration at which you will evolve. The octahedron is the self. When a species begins to become aware of the self, this will activate the octahedron in the pattern of the flower of life. Then, we begin to realize that we are conditioned by the patterns of creation. But we can also become those patterns and change our destiny and reality. This is why we can understand our personal fate, destiny, and the unfolding of events on Earth by observing the 12 constellations in the sky. Because these 12 constellations are the blueprint of the evolutionary patterns of all things on Earth. They are actually composed of geometries and serve as portals connecting the third dimension with the sixth dimension. The evolutionary patterns designed in the sixth dimension encompass different levels of consciousness and vibration, each representing a different evolutionary path. Which specific evolutionary path we take depends on our current vibration. This is why, by changing our current vibration, we can become those patterns and change our reality. The same patterns also appear on our palms. This is why we can observe our fate through palmistry, and our palm lines will change as our vibration changes. These patterns are the imprints of the five geometries of the sixth dimension: tetrahedron, octahedron, cube, icosahedron, and dodecahedron in the third dimension. The tetrahedron, octahedron, cube, icosahedron, and dodecahedron are the building blocks of all creation. They created the pattern of the flower of life. Therefore, the sixth dimension creates reality through geometry. Everything in our material world originates from these 5 primary geometries of the sixth dimension. This is why the entire information of the universe can also be interpreted through architecture. This is why you see pyramids in many places on Earth. Because pyramids are not what they appear to be on the surface. They are composed of 2 tetrahedrons, one above ground representing the material form and one below ground representing the etheric form, forming an octahedron. The octahedron is the self. This is why, when you enter the center of a pyramid, you can connect with the self and with every dimension.